Leadership Speak, an advanced Toastmaster club for leadership development. We are one of the top 5 clubs globally. I'm Arouna Sow, your surgeon at arm of the meeting. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are encouraged to develop leadership, communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Leadership Speak is the premier club for experienced Toastmasters to become better self-directed leaders. We are an advanced club focused primarily on leadership development in everything we do. Our timer has virtual end rise so we all can immediately see who is keeping the time. Our Toastmaster of the day will lead our meeting is Leya Musunga. Leya is a Toastmaster enthusiast, previously served as VPPR and VPA of Gabriel Toastmaster Club. Leya has been an area director and as division director for 2023 and 2024. And Leya love of reading, resulting in servicing of editor for Division 74, achieving an excellent magazine. She is currently serving on the Division 74 cabinet as logistic manager. So please help me welcome our dear Toastmaster of the day, Leya Musunga.
Greetings, fellow Toastmasters, and thank you so much for that introductions. And greetings to all you joining us, Toastmasters guests. I'm sure you're going to have an amazing time today. For me, it's afternoon, it could be morning, evening for you. So welcome to all of you all. And our theme for the meeting today is Inspire to Lead. Now, I must say, I am sitting in Gaborone, Botswana. It's a country here in Southern Africa. And this week, I was so inspired. One of the runners in the 200 meters in the Olympics was able to attain a gold medal. This was the first for the country Botswana, a gold medal, and also the first for an African person to be able to get such a medal in a sprint type of race. That really inspired me to think, wow, maybe I should get back to being fit, because there was a time I used to run marathons and I totally stopped because of COVID, and I used that as an excuse. But after just seeing what our representative Lydiah was able to do, I thought I need to put back my running shoes and get back on that road. But here, of course, we're gathered. This is a Toastmasters meeting. We want to talk about being inspired as a leader. What does that mean? So obviously, as a leader, leadership is not about being in charge, but about taking care of those in your charge. And I like the 5 levels of leadership that were previously shared in one of John Maxwell's book. And if you look at the 5 levels of leadership that he talks about, level 1 talks about position, and then level 2 talks about permission, level 3, production, level 5, where you are people development, and then level 6, he talks about the pinnacle. So that's where he talks about you inspiring people to be able to lead. So that is the pinnacle of leadership, where you inspire others so that they can then go on to do something, or in whatever it is that they want to do, in whatever goal that they want to achieve. So I hope as you join us today in our meeting that you will also be inspired to continue to achieve your goals or you might go out and want to be a leader that inspires other people. I love this quote by Sherry Sandberg that said, "Leadership is about making others better as a result of your presence and making sure that impact lasts in your absence." So as we continue on our own leadership journey, I hope we will be on this journey, ensuring that we do indeed inspire others as we lead them. As your Toastmaster of the day today, I must say that I'm not going to be on the virtual screen all by myself. There'll be other people who will be joining me along the way, other role players. But before we get to them, I would like to encourage you all, if you have a glass, maybe you're drinking tea, water, juice, or something like that, for you to get ready as I call our toast of the day, Paramjit, to please come to the virtual stage and give us the toast.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the day, Leya. Effective leadership goes beyond mere management. It is about inspiring and empowering others to reach their full potential. John Quincy Adams once said, "If your actions inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader." This quote perfectly captures the essence of a leadership, the transformative power of inspiring actions. Malala Yousafzai of Pakistan is such an exceptional example of inspiring young leader whose courage, resilience, and unwavering determination inspire people from all walks of his life. She has inspired young girls to dream big and defy societal expectations. In 2009, at 11 years of her age, she started a blog writing for the women education, advocating the girls' right to education. And in that she survived an attack. And despite the immense physical and emotional challenges she faced, she has ignited conversation about the importance of education in achieving gender equality and breaking the cycle of poverty. This doesn't mean that inspiration in leadership always have to be grand. It can be found in everyday's moment. Think of a teacher who inspires a student to pursue their passion, a coach who encourages an athlete to reach their full potential, or a manager who believes in their team. These are the leaders who make a lasting impact, not just through their words, but through their actions. We all have seen such leaders in our lives who inspired us, a mentor, a colleague, a friend, who saw in us what we didn't see in ourselves. And they led by example, showing us that leadership is not just about making decisions, but about making the difference. They taught us that the best leaders don't create followers, but inspire them to be leaders. My dear fellow Toastmasters, please unmute yourself, raise your glasses, and let us toast to those inspiring leaders. Those inspiring leaders.
Those inspiring leaders.
Inspiring leaders.
Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much, Paramjit, for that. Yes, to those inspiring leaders. And as we're moving along the day to day, I'll try and just share with you just some key points that can help you as you are on your leadership journey of how you can inspire others to lead. But before I get to that, I would like to invite my tag team, who are the role players who help me along this meeting today. So I'm going to start off with our timer, and I can see the hand is already raised. So that's the first video you're seeing in your screen. So timer, Alfin, if you could please come to the virtual stage and tell us about your role.
Thank you so much, Madam Toastmasters. Good day, hello Toastmasters and guests. I'm Alvin, your timer for today, and shall time you according to the time as per the agenda. At the end of each session, I shall post the times into the chat box. And I'll show the picture of this. All right, back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much, Alvin, for that. And I hope all the speakers have seen the red, green, and the yellow. So I'll then move on to our grammarian to please tell us about the role and the word of the day.
Thank you, close attention to usage. I will note any improper language, outstanding words, quotes, sayings, or thoughts. As a grammarian, I'm also is motivate. It is a verb, and you can motivated, and motivation. Motivate means to provide someone with a reason to do something, to encourage or persuade. An example of using the word motivate in a sentence is, leaders motivate the team members to achieve their goals. Each speaker is encouraged to use the word of the day to motivate. At the end of the meeting, I will give the grammarian's report when called upon. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much for that. And as she said, the word of the day is motivate. And we encourage all the speakers who come to the virtual stage to please use the word of the day. I'm sure you don't need more motivation from me for you to be able to use the word of the day. You will definitely use it. I'm sure about that. So before we get into our meeting is normally divided into two parts. So the first part, we have the prepared speakers, and part of our prepared speaker, we have what we call a leadership speech that is presented. So this is normally an extended speech, which is almost about 15 to 20 minutes length of speech. Then the second part of our meeting, that's when we're going to have our feedback session. So definitely encourage you to ensure that you stay here for that, because if there's one thing that is amazing about Toastmasters meetings is that you get your feedback immediately in the same day. You don't have to wait for it. And for all our guests who are joining us as we have been moving along, please note the agenda has been shared in the chat. You're free to open it and check it out. As you can see, our chat is really busy, so I'd encourage you all, please use the chat. Feel free to encourage our speakers, send messages to our speakers as and when they speak and you want to say anything to them. I'd like to encourage you. The chat is open. Want to see those emojis, want to see all those messages. So before we get to our first speaker, as I said, I'll just try my best to just give you some few keys about how you can lead to inspire. So the first one would be lead by example. So obviously that would mean be the change you wish to see in others. Your actions speak louder than your words. So you show integrity, courage, and determination in your behavior so that others may follow suit. So that's one of the keys that you can use for you to lead, to inspire to lead. So I would now, as we get into the first part of the meeting, I would now like to invite our evaluator for our leadership speak. That would be Mohmad. If you would please come to the virtual stage and give us the speech objective of our first speaker, Param.
Well, thank you, Toastmaster Leya. Today, our education speaker, Toastmaster Baron Ochola, is going to be presenting the pathways project from level 5 from the Pathways Dynamic Leadership. And he is going to be presenting this speech with the purpose that the member has already gone through a particular volunteer organizational experience. And the project objective is that the member to apply their skills needed to successfully lead in that particular volunteer organization. So the purpose of this speech is for the member to share some of the aspect of his experience as a leader and an impact of the 360-degree evaluation which he has gone through. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day, and best wishes to Baron Ochola.
Thank you so much, Asif, for that. So with the speech title, Inspired to Lead, Building Leaders, Not Followers, Inspired to Lead, Building Leaders, Not Followers. Baron Ochola, you may take the virtual stage.
All right, Toastmasters and guests. Today is that day when we speak about the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room definitely is leadership, but more than leadership is how do we lead? How do we lead? According to John Maxwell, the true measure of leadership is not by how many followers we have, but rather by how many leaders we create. Once again, the true measure of, I'll display it right here. The true measure of leadership is not by how many followers we have, rather how many leaders we create. And this is from John Maxwell, who is a renowned leadership authority worldwide, with over 80 books under his belt. But this assessment that he made is very accurate because of this reason. Slides coming in a bit slower, so I might have to stop them. But it's accurate because of this reason. Sometime last year, during one of the leadership speak meetings, we had a gentleman, Lance Secretary, sharing with us. And in his sharing, one of the points that he made was leadership as a concept is a failed one as we speak. Now, how many people would agree with that? Not many, because we have not yet gotten into the context of this. But if some
I'm not sure if it's just me, if is Baron frozen?
Yes.
Yes,
My end
please.
as well. Yeah.
Okay. It shows he's still on the call. Baron, I don't know if you can hear me, you were frozen.
yes, I'm here. I would have to join from my second device, but fear not, we shall carry on.
All right.
So, as I was saying, leadership by inspiration. When Lance Secretary was speaking, one of his main themes was leadership is a failed concept. And this is the reason why. Because in leadership, we're often telling people what to do. We stand up and we command left, right, and center. But then we do not realize that there are only two ways in which people can lead. You can either lead by inspiring or you can lead by coercion. Now let's get into the first aspect of it, which is inspiring. Inspiring is basically letting people know that there is more to what they can do larger than themselves. In John Maxwell's philosophy of the 5 levels of leadership, the 5th level, which most leaders never get to, is the pinnacle leadership. The first level usually is the permission, rather the position. In position leadership, what happens is you are given a position, you do not need any leadership skills, as long as you have somebody who can exalt you to that position. The next stage is permission. That means people choose to allow you to lead them. Then from permission, the next is, the next is productivity. Yes, people follow you because of your results. What have you done? And it should be very clear to see. For example, we have our first international president joining in the meeting. And one of the comments that she made was, you always set the standard. You are, as far as excellence, we have to follow and see what is happening at Leadership Speak. So that means she's following because of the productivity, the results that we have shown. Then the fourth level of leadership is people development. At this point, people follow you because you develop other leaders. And that is especially what we do in Toastmasters with our mentorship programs. We develop people. Then we enter the fifth level of leadership. And the fifth level of leadership, pinnacle leadership, means people follow you for what you represent. At the point to which people follow you for what you represent, it means by the mere sight of you, they are inspired to action. They are inspired. For example, if you are a leader who is renowned for integrity, then people will look at you and they will know that, hey, I need to be like that person. So what do I need to do? I need to have integrity. And that in itself is inspiration. The concept of leading by inspiration and inspiring to lead leads us to one next thing, which is intentionality. Toastmasters and guests, if you believe that anybody can create an impact without being intentional, put your hand down, keep your hand down. If you believe that an impact can be created without intention, keep your hand down. That should mean everybody else should have their hands up. I only see the timer's hand, but that's all right. That opens the door of intention. As a leader, are you intentionally building? I see another hand up. Are you intentionally building your people to become leaders? Or are you grazing? By grazing, I mean, do you have followers with you? Do you have, to call it as it is, sheep instead of followers? That is a very important question. So when you look at it that way, we have to realize that intention must be put in. Why must we be intentional? Because when we inspire others towards leadership, we do two things. One, we amplify our impact. As leaders, it is important that we amplify our impact. When you amplify your impact, you train another leader and you train that leader to train another leader. Then we have a chain reaction of leadership going on. And with that, we'll come to a point that I will share of legacy. The next thing after impact is realizing that we as leaders have a responsibility. The key of leadership is to make situations better. It could be in a small organization. It could be in an organization such as Toastmasters International. It could be within the family setup. The key at the end remains, how can we make the circumstances under which we live, under which we meet, better? And we as leaders have a responsibility to make that better. And oftentimes we try to do it by ourselves. You know, the leaders who say, I do it all by myself. They do not know how to work with a team. They don't know how to delegate. They don't know how to empower others. And that is where the mistake comes in. But we as leaders have a responsibility to be as impactful as we possibly can be. And that is where inspiring to lead comes in. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what examples can we highlight of leaders who inspired others to lead, rather than just leading? I would like to shine light to one of the, if I said who is the most renowned leader in Africa, as far as forever, not modern times, but as far as forever, could we get some answers? Who is the standout leader in Africa, the first person on everybody's mind?
Nelson Mandela.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Nelson Mandela. Now, if you study the leadership of Nelson Mandela, you will realize that he led with a vision of realizing what will happen after I have left office. Will the country be in a position of healing, or should all this leadership be about me as an individual? And we can tell by his example that he envisioned, he inspired others to become leaders. Another reason I would like to give, another reason I would like to share for why we as leaders need to inspire to others to lead is the law of legacy. If you've realized today, I am picking so much from John Maxwell's philosophies, and this is yet another one. From the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, the 21st law states that the leader's leadership is only as good as the legacy of it. That means we shall judge your leadership by your legacy. Right? Just to re-echo that, we shall judge your leadership by your legacy. So years later, after you have put your position down, you have perhaps retired, or you've handed over, is when we shall have to get to know, oh, did this person leave trails of leadership? Did they work themselves out of the job such that whoever came after them had a very good idea of the progress we needed to make and the steps to make it? And that is why it is clearly defined that leadership is passing on the baton. So what that baton looks like is your legacy, is your leadership. Let's say it just so happens to be that you lead, you hand over, and then the people you hand over to send the ship sinking. What will we say about your leadership? It will speak more to your leadership than their leadership. And that's why we have to put emphasis on building leaders. So the question comes to, how do we build leaders? How we build leaders is about a 4-5 step process. Number one is mentorship. We have to be intentional about mentoring leaders. Call them into the room, be patient with them, talk to them, and understand at what part of their leadership journey they are and what type of support they might need. When we mentor other leaders, we help to multiply ourselves. And when we multiply ourselves, we multiply our impact. The second bit is empowerment. Do you trust the leaders you are raising? Do you give them the opportunities to grow themselves? Do you put them in positions where the stakes are high, such that they can also prove to themselves that they are capable of doing something? That's a question for all of us. The third part is gratitude. As a leader who is raising other leaders, are you raising them in gratitude? Are you raising them to be appreciative of what they have? But do you also appreciate their efforts, their impact? Gratitude is key, because nothing positive comes out of negativity, but in gratitude, everything blossoms. In gratitude, everything blossoms. The fourth is reverse mentorship. Reverse mentorship. While the first was mentorship, the fourth is reverse mentorship. Are you learning from the leaders you are raising as well? I love to give a case of Dr. Christine, who is in the meeting room today. Dr. Christine was the first Toastmaster I ever interfaced with, and I followed the path she showed me, and here I am now. Lately, whenever we meet, we also have to have that conversation of, Baron, how do I do this? And it's usually, especially with technology, which is only right, because as the technology comes, I might have grown with it and I might have a better idea of it. But the fact that my mentor will reverse mentorship and have me mentor them on something shows me that there is something in me as a leader, and that is inspiring others to lead. And the final one to that is celebrating the small wins. Do you celebrate the leaders that you work with? While we are at it, I will refer all of us to the final concept of how best we can inspire others to lead. And this, to tie it down, is to take it to Lance Secretari's philosophy. Toastmasters and guests probably accept Toastmaster Bram because he has had interaction with Lance to a big scale. How many of us know the castle principles? Could put your hands up. That's what I'm able to see right now. The castle principles. All right. The castle principles, and this is going to be my call to action to all of us. Can we follow the castle principles as we inspire others to lead? The castle, this first C stands for courage. Do we have the courage to be vulnerable? Do we have the courage to be vulnerable such that when the people we are leading look at us, they know that we are pushing ourselves. We are not in a comfort zone. They are able to relate with us more, especially with leadership. Vulnerability is important. The next is authenticity. Authenticity. Are you an authentic leader? Are you leading from your core? Service. Service is the next S. What is the point of leadership if we are not serving? I will leave it at that. What is the point of leadership if we are not serving? The T on castle is truthfulness. Are you a truthful leader? Do you lead with integrity? Goes without saying. The next is love. Love. Do you lead from a point of compassion towards the people you lead? Because more often than not, they may not have as many mentors, or they may not have as many other leaders who are intent on building leaders. And finally, last but not least, effectiveness. How much do you focus on effectiveness? Because as leaders, we have a lot of leeway, and we often forget that we need to streamline processes, have systems in place that will support leadership development and make sure that we are effective. Toastmasters and guests, my call to action to all of us, let us be intentional about inspiring other leaders. It is not enough to lead, and then when you have done with your part, there is a vacuum left. Let us be intentional about inspiring other leaders. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you so much, Baron, for that. Indeed, it's not enough for us to lead and then leave a vacuum. Thank you so much for those final closing words. And I can see, I was actually making notes when you talked about the castle thing, and I see it has even been shared in the chat. So in case you missed what he had said, someone has very lovingly shared the acronym for castle in the chat. So you can check that out in case you wanted to make notes on that. Welcome if you found us as our first speaker, Baron, was speaking. Welcome to Leadership Speak. And hopefully the agenda will be shared in the chat for you to follow along in terms of what is happening. So we'll then move on to our next speaker, and that is Sandra. So I'd like to invite Sandra to the virtual stage, and then also invite Sandra's evaluator, Arouna, to please come and give us the speech objectives.
Thank you, dear Toastmaster of the Day. Good morning, fellow Toastmaster and dear guest. Today I have a privilege to evaluate Sandra's speech. Her speech is about the first project of level 4 of engaging humor. And the purpose of this speech is to deliver a speech from impromptu speeches, topics, resources that include at least one anecdote that is relating to the topic. And during the evaluation part of the session, I will give my feedback on Sandra's speech. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you so much, Anna, for that. So just give me a moment for me to introduce Sandra. Well, as the speech objectives have been read, she will be answering 2 questions from a list that was previously shared. So today, our compassionate queen of straight talk is put to the test to see if she can provide a little lightness inside of 2 separate table topics. So table topics, as we all know, the impromptu speeches. Sandra plans to incorporate some light humor to her topic that I, your Toastmaster of the day, shall choose for her. What do you think? Can she do it? Let's see what happens as Sandra steps up to add humor on the hot seat. Add humor on the hot seat. Sandra. So definitely we'll have some fun in this part of the meeting because I'm sure you realize you don't really see the impromptu speech as part of our meeting. So I'm going to then get right into the first question for you, Sandra. So let me see. So the speech is supposed to be 2 to 3 minutes. So my first question for you, Sandra, is the speaker for an important event is late. You are invited to open the event and fill a few minutes until the speaker arrives. The speaker for an important event is late. You are invited to open the event and fill a few minutes until the speaker arrives. Over to you, Sandra.
Wow, thank you so much for that topic, because we have a perfect example. Now, Baron was not late, but Baron's internet wasn't helping. So I'm just going to mention that since the theme of the meeting today is inspiring leadership, and Baran will be with us very shortly when his tech starts to work for us. So just so that we know how to listen when Baran does come, we want to be looking at inspirational leadership. Look inside yourself. Think about when somebody is leading you, when they're saying, do this, do this, do this. No, you can't do it that way. No, 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 no. You got to do it this way. What? I had it planned to do it that way. Oh my goodness. How many ways can we do it? Well, let me think. If I do it your way, I'll have to pretend I'm somebody else. If I do it your way, I'll really have to just kind of imagine what you would do. Now, if I remember when I tried to do it my mother's way, she said, no, 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 Sandra, this is the way you do it. But I want to do it this way. And then she'd say, oh, hey, that worked out pretty good. When we have a chance to just experiment with our own leadership style and really lay it out there, be authentic, get real, when we have that inspiration to grow versus that fear. Oh my, we're going to be judged on expectations because the boardroom says we have to behave. Well, the boardroom would get me and I would do a guppy face like this. Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? And after we managed to break that nonsense, that facade, once the facade comes away, now we can be real, now we can be authentic, and we can step into our own leadership, self-directed leadership. Now, I'm going to invite everyone here, when Baran is able to get all of it together and arrive, and I know that he's like Santa Claus. He's right just outside the door. He's coming very close. When Baran gets here, put on your listening ears to understand and think with him as he talks about inspiring leadership. That's what motivates. Inspiring others, empowering others is the way that we motivate, not when we set out only one set of expectations. It's so important to be you. Be you. Celebrate the wonderfulness of you. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Sandra, for that. And I'm going to move right along to my next question for you. So my next question is, your club is holding an open house. You have been asked to share a short speech about your experience in Toastmasters and how it has enriched your life. Open house, you have been asked to share a short speech about your experience in Toastmasters and how it has enriched your life. Sandra.
Thank you. I love this topic. Absolutely love this topic. Because when I joined Toastmasters, I had already been a school teacher, and people would say, Sandra, why on earth would you go to Toastmasters? Isn't that where you learn to speak? We've never heard you shut up yet. You just love being at Toastmasters. What? Why are you there? Well, you know what I got? My first meeting I went to, they came up with table topics. And me being myself, I turned around and said, oh, table topics. And they asked me a question. So Sandra being Sandra, and I just I was kind of coming out of depression. So I was a little overboard. I guess I'm still overboard sometimes. But, you know, I got almost on the table. I was climbing up. What do you mean a table topic? And I stood up and put my knee up to the table. Had everybody laughing. And then I behaved myself and answered the table topic question. But that was the introduction to understanding just what a laboratory is. Toastmasters is the most magnificent laboratory because this is where we get to experiment. So instead of being all, you know, primed what they did in public school, you know, fold your little hands and stand there and do it this way, I was able to open up and experiment and look and see. And when it fell on its nose and I got a bloody nose, I said, oh, guess that one didn't work too well. I shouldn't do that when I go out speaking engagement. And then other times they would say, oh, but Sandra, your authenticity just came through. We could grab onto you. Oh, that's what we need. Sandra needs to be Sandra. And I don't know that I can see the timer. There we go. Sorry. And so Sandra needs to be Sandra. This is what I learned when I came to Toastmasters. Find out who you are and how does that affect the rest of your life? Well, I found out that my family had always thought I was just opinionated and quiet and complaining because I wanted to do. And, you know, I got to be free within my family. They still don't know what to do with me, and that's okay. I still show up at the family functions and get a laugh going, or they say, oh, there's Sandra, and they roll their eyes. What else would we expect? And in the community, it has given me the freedom to reach out and lead. I am part of several foundations. I've been leading people in Uganda. I go to prison. I'm one of the grannies for Africa, and I can do it effortlessly because I have learned not to take on what I am not prepared to do with all my heart. But once you've got me, once I'm in, I am in. Thank you, Adam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Sandra, for those two responses. Towards the end, the second response, you ended by saying, don't take on something that your heart doesn't want you to do. I think that's a very nice takeaway for all of us all. We'll then move on to our next speaker. And our next speaker is Lydiah. And if you could join me on the virtual stage, and Lydiah will be joined Lydiah's evaluator will be Tony. If you could please share with us the speech objectives of Lydiah's speech.
Yeah, hello everyone. Lydiah's presentation is from the Dynamic Leadership Level 3 Project 4, which is to connect with storytelling. And this is where she's going to be using any kind of a story about her life or about a situation that she's going to present her ideas. Now, as Toastmasters, we know that storytelling is a powerful tool of communication, whether it's work, life, business, or family. And the idea is for her team, which is all of us, including me, the evaluator, to help assess her storytelling to see if she makes her points. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much, Tony, for that. With the speech title, Eliminate Fears. Eliminate Fears, Lydiah.
When I was growing up, I used to admire people driving cars. But deep in me, I had a lot of fears. I couldn't imagine myself driving a car. Then what happened? A time came when I was forced to look for a driving school to learn how to drive. I Googled, then I took the best driving school. In Kenya, it's called AA Kenya, that is Automobile Association of Kenya, which is the best driving school. I got a very good instructor. Let me call him Jack. Jack had good experience. He was friendly, and he took me through the board, which was very interesting. My fears went down. But wait until we got to the wheel. That is the time I felt all those butterflies. And Jack kept on telling me, Lydiah, eliminate fears. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, have you ever come across something that you're supposed to do and you have a lot of fears, then you're motivated and you find yourself doing it. Then after doing it, you feel very good. If at all you've ever had such a situation, please just show me with an emoji. Am I seeing any emoji there? Back to my instructor. Thank you. Thank you very much for those emoji. My instructor took me through the driving, and I really enjoyed when we were just driving forward. Reversing the car was my biggest challenge. And I even kept on joking and asking him, Jack, have you ever seen someone walking backwards or even running or even having a competition of running or walking backwards? No. And that is why my greatest fear is reversing the car. But Jack kept on telling me, Lydiah, eliminate fears. Fast forward, a position came up in our organization for a driver, and Jack was very interested. And I told him, apply for the position. And Jack applied. I shortlisted him. Then when we called them to come and do the written test, Jack passed very well. Oral interviews, perfect. He passed very well. And I even told the other panel members, no, here we have a perfect driver. My instructor, the one who taught me how to drive. The day came for the practical driving test. We sat there, we put our safety belts. Then we had two of my colleagues, one who was supposed to evaluate all the skills of driving with the head of the drivers. We sat there, but I could see Jack had some tension. Then I told Jack, I whispered, Jack, eliminate fears. Jack did very well. But when now the time came for him to reverse the car, guess what? He did it, but we found ourselves behind the fence. Because he accelerated instead of doing it slowly and balancing the crutch. What happened? Jack never passed. And Jack never got the position. what happened to Jack? Jack called me and told me, Lydia, I'm very happy you gave me the opportunity. And what I kept on telling you, eliminate fears. I had a lot of butterflies in my stomach. And that is why I lost myself and I was not able to reverse. Myself, a few weeks back, was given a role of TMOD. What happened? Butterflies. But when I had a session on one-on-one with Toastmaster Paramjit, thank you. Paramjit told me, Lydia, you will do it. Remove the fears. Mark my words, he never told me that you can do it. He told me, you will do it, meaning there's no option. I have to do it. And I did it. And I remembered those words from my instructor telling me, Lydia, eliminate the fears. Fellow Toastmasters, what am I telling you? In Kenya, we say, mambo ni matatu. There are only 3 things. The first one, eliminate fears. The second one, you have to do it, whatever you're supposed to do. And the third one, it has to be done. So fellow Toastmasters, for us to be leaders who are inspired, we have to eliminate fears and be good leaders and support others. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you so much, Lydia, for that. Indeed, for us to be better leaders, we definitely have to eliminate fear and do it so it can be done. Thank you so much for that speech. And I'll just share one more key to our leadership journey as we are trying to inspire others. One of them could be for us to communicate effectively. So this, we all know, effective communication is essential for building trust, resolving conflict, and fostering a positive team environment. So as we are seeking to inspire others, remember, we need to communicate effectively. I'd then now like to invite our next speaker to the virtual stage, and that is Jessica. And then I'll invite Jessica's evaluator, Tony, once again, to please come and give us the speech objective of Jessica's speech.
Again, this is such a thrill for me because I am motivated to be an evaluator twice. In this case, we are giving, we're going to be the opportunity to listen to an icebreaker, which is, as we all know, as advanced Toastmasters, an icebreaker is an opportunity for the presenter to introduce herself, in this case, to us using any kind of a theme. And Jessica, Toastmaster Jessica's pathway is persuasive. What's that word I'm looking for? Influence. Oh, 2 powerful words. Persuasive influence. So fellow Toastmasters, be ready to be persuaded and influenced by Jessica's icebreaker. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you so much for that, Tony. With the speech title, Feel the Fear and Own Your Power. Feel the fear and own your power. Jessica, you may take the virtual stage.
How many of you have ever achieved a goal that you spent ages working on? Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. It was a summer morning 10 years ago when I was called into my manager's office, and she said, Jessica, you've got the job. Oh, I was delighted because it was a promotion that I've been waiting for. I've worked all my life for it. And in that same year, I achieved my Master's of Business Administration. So it was promotion, tick. MBA, tick. And same year, I achieved my diploma in coaching, tick. I had a fantastic team, brilliant people to lead. But there was just one small problem. Being a leader, you have to be a good communicator. But my communication skills were less desirable, I'm going to say. But in reality, diabolical was the appropriate word. I was one of those very awkward people who couldn't stand in front of a crowd and speak. I remember with my role, with this big new role that I had, came monthly presentation meetings where I was sitting with the board and having to present about how my team was doing. The first month came, the first presentation came. I practiced, and I practiced. But that fear was really crippling me. But I thought, oh, I read that book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. So I practiced, feel the fear and do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway. That was my mantra. The day of the meeting came. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway. When my name was called to go up to the stage, I crawled to the stage. I got there. My stomach was in knots. My voice was having a mind of its own, doing its own thing. I was sweating buckets. But I thought, feel the fear and do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway. I was determined to do it. I got myself up, got to the podium, shaking like a leaf. I got there. I prepared. Stood there, froze. For what was probably about 10 minutes, oh no, not 10 minutes, 10 seconds, but that 10 seconds felt like eternity. Because the eyes of those people were looking at me, and all I was thinking was, oh my God, now I'm going to be found out. They're going to know that I'm really rubbish at this. Oh, I'm going to lose my job. I got there, read my speech word for word. I looked down at my speech, read it, read that presentation. I never even looked once to check that the people were still there. They could have gone by the time I'd finished. But I looked down. I was determined to read and read and read. I read it. And the relief that came with finishing. I finished. I walked myself back to my seat. I felt this big. The humiliation, the frustration, that fear was so bad that I thought, oh my God, I'm finished. But that was a pivotal moment for me. That was the day when I said, that's it. I am not going to allow this to control me ever again. Because what I had done throughout my life was to allow that fear to pull me around like this. But then I thought, right, I'm going to immerse myself with anything and everything that is about public speaking. So Tony Robbins, I attended. Lisa Nichols, I went to her course. John Maxwell, read his books. I immersed myself. Les Brown, I attended the course. I thought, that's it. I am taking this on head on. I am so glad I did. Because with every training that I attended, I was getting better. The confidence was improving. I was getting better. And I thought, even when I was chanting the mantra, feel the fear and do it anyway, it was making sense to me. It had a meaning. I was attaching something to it. So I was getting better and better. But what I have learned throughout that period, that fear, I had allowed it to control me throughout my life. And it's taken out so much from me. But this time, I was learning a new dance. What I knew was that fear wasn't going to go away. But this time, yes, fear, you're coming with me. We're learning a new dance. I'm going to be taking with you everywhere. And it's a new dance that we're learning, because, ladies and gentlemen, what I had learned now as I stand here as a voice coach and somebody that's teaching people how to communicate is that fear isn't going anywhere. You need to learn to use that and step into your power, to use that fear, because in that fear, in that dance of fear, lies the rhythm of our greatness. So we go out there and step into that greatness, because fear can only fuel us into our prosperity. Madam Toastmaster.
Learn a new dance with fear. Thank you so much, Jessica, for presenting your speech. I know normally when it's an icebreaker speech, when somebody has just started, there'll be a lot of noise, hoopla, yeah. But obviously you are a seasoned speaker, but well done anyway. So we'll then move on to our next speaker, and that's Elena. If you may please join me on the virtual stage, and then I would like to invite Elena's evaluator, Vinod, to please come and tell us the speech objectives of Elena's speech.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. A good day from United Arab Emirates, everyone. Toastmaster Elena is going to present her project from the Path Innovation Planning, Level 4. She's going to do her elective project. The purpose of the project, the name of the project is Building a Social Media Presence. The purpose of this project is to apply your understanding of social media to enhance an established or new social media presence. Toastmaster Elena has told me to focus on 3 things. I would request the audience also to give feedback on that. Zoom presence, flow in the content, the structure, and value to the audience. The timing is 5 to 7 minutes. Thank you very much, and back to you.
Thank you so much for that. So with the speech title, Breaking Boundaries to Crack the Code, Breaking Boundaries to Crack the Code. Elena, you may take the virtual stage.
No. I just can't do this. I can't do this. I'm not comfortable with social media. I'm a very private person. I don't post, I don't press like, I don't comment very often, I don't repost. I don't like invading people's moments, private moments. You know, it's like, I know I'm wrong thinking like this, but it feels like snooping around people's diaries and private drawers. Then 2 years ago, I became an entrepreneur. I gave up the corporate world to become an educator and a teaching associate at the University of Cyprus. At the same time period, I started embodying the life of a corporate trainer, and currently I'm a twice certified business coach too. Word of mouth worked well for me at first, and I had clients who referred me to more clients. However, soon enough, a plateau was reached. I was falling behind. My business partners started outlining to me a plethora of statistics on the potency of social media in building a consulting business. 90% of small businesses report that social media has increased their exposure. 66% of consumers trust a brand more when they see the company leadership actively engaging on social media. 92% of B2B marketeers use LinkedIn for content distribution. My partner finally convinced me that we needed to start building our social media presence. No, I just can't. I'm not comfortable with this. It's too big a project and I don't know where to start. We have to get motivated, stated my partner. It's a one-way road. I agreed and started breaking down my boundaries. How did we start? First, we found an advisor, an expert professional. We spent hours aligning on the what and the how, examining examples and building a portfolio of ideas. Challenge 1. What was my unique value proposition? During my reunion in May 2024, I attended a workshop at the London Business School in writing my unique value proposition in order to apply for board memberships. And I swear this is coming so handy now. I promise I will do a speech of what I learned on this topic in finding our unique value proposition, because it is #1 advice on the Toastmaster project checklist. Maybe I will post a video on YouTube. You see, I'm getting the hang of this. Then I made a list of 30 topics I wanted to explore through my posts and which I would add value to the audience. Things I know well, that I have a passion for. Simple things, but tried and tested concepts that my university students and workshop participants have resonated with, and they seemed inspired and motivated by. Project checklist item 2, checked. And then I started writing my first 4 posts and finished them. And they sat around for over 2 months. I don't know what I was waiting for. Zero motivation. I just thought that they were not good enough. I really don't know what I was waiting for. Just do it, just do it, just do it. Just go for it. Jump in the water. Check the depth of the water later. I don't know where that voice was coming from. And maybe it was my father. And you know what I did to get unstuck? I signed up for a project at Toastmasters, a pathway project about building a social media presence. Isn't that brilliant how projects can act synergistically, with our lives? So in case you're also going through this ordeal and you can raise your hand, I wanted to offer a few tips that I found out along the way. Firstly, #1, big #1 is build content, authentic, dignified content that makes the audience pause and think and adds value to them. It's easier said than done, but when it's done, it actually gets quite easy. Big advice #2, and this should really be #1, generate networks through the communities who we belong with consistency and meaning, which brings us to #3 of not doing this, too frequently or too sparsely, by keeping a flow and a balance. Now, I'm not going to show you examples of my work just yet. I'm going to send you some WhatsApp, but I am going to do, and I promise I will do another speech in 2 or 3 weeks, and I'm going to present at least 4 Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube videos in the on this social media. As Bram told me in our first one-to-one coaching, we don't grow smaller, and I don't intend to. Well, I'm pretty sure there's going to be 5 or 6 people following me around. I'm sure my mother will follow, will repost me, and my husband and my brother and my business partner, and maybe a few of you, and I would really, really love your feedback and your support. I'm very sure my Toastmaster communities will support me in this, and we can support each other as we all embark on this new era of social media marketing. So I'm going to run now. I'm going to go and build some posts, and I would like to invite you all to do this together if you want, through WhatsApp or through becoming friends on this social media. And if you allow me, just because I'm the last speech, I will join you in this dance, maybe play some music, and let's do this. to you, dear Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Elena, for that. Just jump into the water and check the depth later. Thank you so much for your speech. At this point, I would like to invite our timer to please share the timing guides in the chat, and also to ask the Zoom master to please share the polls for the voting for the best speaker. If they can launch the poll. So I'd like to encourage you, if you're in the meeting, you have heard the speeches, you can vote. Also in the chat, there's our guest book for you if you're a guest, or even if you're a regular visitor, please fill it in. We'd love to hear your feedback and just let us know how we are doing. It definitely will helps us also to grow. I think you would have seen a poll popping up onto your screen. So we'll then move straight on to our feedback session of the meeting. So I'd like to invite our general evaluator, Ray, to please take on the next session. Ray, over to you.
Very much, Leya. I see Tony on the screen, but I don't see me. Hi, Tony. Okay. As we say, let the show must go on. Just give me a moment. All right. There I go. Here I am. As a general evaluator, my role is to see and observe how well the meeting has gone. But I can't do this alone. What I have is a team of evaluators who have looked at, watched, and will make observations on each of today's speakers. Now, our first evaluator will be Angeli Wesson, who will be evaluating the toast today. The Paramjit Singh. So, Angeli, are you ready to give a presentation and evaluate Paramjit's toast for today?
Thank you, General Evaluator. Paramjit G, it is always such pleasure to be able to see you on the screen. I understand that within the club, there has been some role changes, but the sigh of relief to know that you're still here in Leadership Speak, because in many ways, I see you as the animus of Leadership Speak. Hearing your toast today, your mere presence motivated me to stay awake and be ready to be able to hear you at 6:30 a.m. While there was some glasses glare, I will gladly send you a video on how to make sure that your screen light does not glare, as you can tell, on the glasses. From there, the outfit that you are wearing also had some patchwork to it. When you smaller patchwork, it sometimes plays with the Zoom background screen. That is why larger patchworks is easier to be seen. Your content was very nice. I also liked the ability to give the information and knowing some background story. It really reminded me how you have been an inspiring leader. The toast itself, you raised your glass, you repeated it twice. It also could have just been said to inspiring leaders, not to those inspiring leaders. Removing those would have given the same succinct message. And it reminds me, an inspiring leader has always been you. Thank you, Paramjit. for giving the toast of the day and giving motivation for the rest of the meeting today. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Angeli, thank you very much for your comments. That's a lesson that all of us aspiring speakers strive to do, but we always seem to kind of forget to try to keep the structure as simple as possible, yet make the message as pointed as we can. That's a motivation for all of us to undertake. The next evaluator will be Youselee Joseph, who will be providing comments for the Toastmaster of the day. What did she do well? What could she improve upon? And how can she challenge herself the next time she takes on this role? Youselee, we're looking forward to your comments.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Greetings, Toastmasters and guests, and especially Toastmaster Leya Musunga. Congratulations for the role well played today. First, I would like to congratulate for the theme of the meeting. I see that a lot of members here in the room really like the theme, and all of the speakers get inspired that the theme that you have chosen for the meeting today. Congratulations for that. And for the planning of this meeting, you have opened the WhatsApp group since August the 2nd. That was great. That gave people and the role players enough time to communicate together and to plan for this meeting. Congratulations for that. And today, when you came at the meeting to start, you were highly enthusiastic. You were smiling and you were encouraging everybody in the room. That was really great. And you kept smiling, even if you were not spotlighted. When someone else is speaking, Leya continued with her enthusiasm and with her smile. Congratulations for that. And in your introduction, you did really great when you compare the athlete at the Olympics with how a leader can be an inspiration. Congratulations for that. And you bring some quote as well that showed us that you were well prepared and you do some researches for the meeting today. You motivated people to share the messages in the chat to inspire each other. And you do a wrap up after each speaker's speech that was interesting, and you ask questions as well to the audience throughout the meeting to make them engage in the meeting. You had smooth transition. But now what I want you to work on for the next time is first, Leya, in the WhatsApp group, you have to take ownership. Take the lead, not only in the meeting, take the lead in the WhatsApp group as well. Because when all the volunteers were asking several questions, you didn't answer their questions. That make them confused, and you can please take the ownership as well. Take the lead in the WhatsApp group. And when you were presenting, you say that you will bring to us some keys to inspire people, but you gave only one. I was waiting for the others. I never saw them. I don't know if you will give them at the end of the meeting, but I'm still waiting for the other points. Other than that, you did a wonderful job. You were well prepared, still enthusiastic. I'm looking at you right now. You keep smiling. Congratulations for that. That encourage people, that make us feel really good at the meeting. Congratulations, Leya, and back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Bravo, Youselee. Bravo. And that is quite a challenge, not only for our Toastmaster Day here, but for any future Toastmasters in our future meetings, is how can we put in the get the enthusiasm going? I think putting in a little quote for the day, leading it with the meeting theme in mind on an everyday basis, just leading up to the beginning of the meeting. That's quite a challenge, and I think the gauntlet has been thrown for all future Toastmasters of the day here at Leadership Speak. How can we inspire ourselves? So next, keep looking back at my agenda. I don't memorize them very well. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce Mohmad Asif Saiyed to do the evaluation of Baron's speech. We don't talk about Baron, but his speech and his stage are not off limits. So off to you, Mohmad.
Thank you, General Evaluator. The theme of our today's meeting is Inspire to Lead. And what it requires is that if you want to inspire to lead, then you need to guide and empower members of the society or a corporate, any organization. Essentially, it means it will lead to followers. Toastmaster Baron, with your speech today, Inspire to Lead, building leaders, not followers. It's aroused my interest in your speech because what you have done through that speech today with your title and integrating it with the theme, you have let us know how leadership can be enhanced to a more higher level, advanced level. And throughout your speech, what I heard, John Maxwell philosophy from Lance Secretary, and the examples you mentioned about Nelson Mandela, the take-home message was very clear to me. You are going to be judged not by the followers, but by the legacy which you leave. That's my take-home message today. And I'm sure that most of others as an audiences would have definitely understood with the principles you shared along with John Maxwell's 5 levels of leadership and Lance Secretary's castle principle. I'm sure that the audiences would have understood a lot about what goes on. How can we inspire members in Toastmasters, in organizations, and throughout the countries and the world to become not just a follower, but a better leader. And that's which will create more and more exponential leadership. Although throughout the speech, you were so calm and composed. And I felt that those technical glitches, which are all part of our life, and that's what Toastmasters is all about, experimenting and being prepared and learning to be prepared to face this kind of technical glitches or such kind of risk which we're going to face in this online world. What is so much remarkable about you is you could confidently come back and take hold of the stage, and that's really commendable for you. Yes, while you will go through this, you will walk through your video back and look at, how was the presentation done, the video, yes, maybe the camera, you'll be presenting it maybe from a mobile phone. The video was, I would say turned upside down, but those are just a few of the technical glitches which we all live with. And definitely this is going to be lesson learned for you. On the content part, my suggestion would be that this is a 20 minutes, and since you are embarked on not to use a PPT because of the internet connection, why not make it into a small, let's say, layers in 3 parts of your speech? What's the challenge today? Are leaders really so focused on just making more and more followers, just like your TikTok and YouTube videos, like they have a lot of followers? But essentially, how would a leader can, if they want, once you've sold the idea that you just don't want to be a leader who makes more followers, what are the tricks and the steps to become a leader who is going to empower others to become more leaders? And that take-home message, last take-home message, which would be very, very important, would be not that castle message, but a brief understanding of that take-home message would be, look, now you've gone through the principles. Why not become a leader who cares about the members, who cares about is truthful, honest, is lovable. Those principles in just 3 or 4 lines. That's it. And definitely, see you as one of the John Maxwell trained leadership coach. You are going to climb mountains and skies. Over to you, Toastmaster, today. Sorry, to the general evaluator.
Thank you so very much, Mohmad, for your evaluation. I too enjoyed listening to Baron's speech, despite all the technical glitches that he experienced. But that also impressed me because, as a experienced speaker, sometimes there are just things that are just out of our control, but we still have to deliver the message. Sometimes we have to pause and try to fix it, or we can just try to go on with the time that we had. So, Baron, very good. I love how you presented yourself, as Mohmad said, about making sure that we get the message. A lot of great points in there. Next, I'm going to introduce Arouna Sow, who will be evaluating Sandra Valks' speeches on the power of the impromptu speech. So, Arouna, please, up to you.
Thank you, General Evaluator. Dear Toastmaster Sandra, congratulations. The purpose of your project was to deliver an impromptu speak that include at least one anecdote that is related to your speech. And your speech was related to the question asked by the Toastmaster of the day. And by providing anecdote and personal story during your speech, you did it. That's the way you engage the audience at the beginning of your speech, especially when you spoke about your first session on Toastmaster and how Toastmaster influenced your life. Your speech was very clear. The Zoom presence also was effective. And the tone of your voice was great. The end gesture was also good. You are a good storyteller. And for the next time, try to make pauses. It will be very great. Overall, your speech was very great, and congratulations again for your speech. And back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you so very much, Arouna. Sandra, I too loved the responses, and I loved how you reflected on how would you introduce Baron as if he was coming late. That was very brilliant, on the fly thinking, which this speech requires. And you did it twice. Boy, sometimes you just wonder if you even have enough energy in the brain to try to come up with all of those responses. And just just being you, finding out who you are, and just reacting to the situation. And Arouna made a great point, putting the pauses to let the audience absorb what you just said. That's also a very good skill to learn as an experienced speaker to aspire to. Next, we got a double duty of Tony Bratschitsch. His first evaluation is going to be that of Lydiah Wanjiku for eliminating fears. I would just love to hear what Tony has to say about this particular speech. Tony?
Yeah, thank you very much, General Evaluator Ray, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests, and especially you, Lydiah. Lydiah, the project was storytelling, which of course is one of the most powerful communication tools available to human beings. Besides that being the project, the essence of your speech was eliminating fear. I found that you were able to weave a story with different threads, and you used 2 threads to combine the theme into your stories, which was inspire to lead was the theme. Each story you told us involved a leader who inspired you. The first story was Jack from Kenya AA, and how Jack helped you eliminate the fear of driving, which is how you open up your presentation. And then you led to another story about how you were Toastmaster of the day a little while ago, feeling the fear. And the way you eliminated that fear was by following the mentorship of another leader who inspired you to lead, which was Paramjit. So you weaved not just two stories, but two leaders into the theme. It was beautiful. And I have to say, as an aside, that really got to me, made me feel good, is how you treated Jack. After Jack did what he did for you, you try to help him out as well with your company. That probably wasn't part of your intention, but you know, Lydia, that really made me feel good, which is part of storytelling, is to make me feel good, because that told me what a nice person you are, which we knew anyways. But that story brought that out into a feeling which can only be told by storytelling, which you did extremely well. I have a couple of tips. I have actually the opening and the closing. You open up the opening about, the fear of driving, and that's powerful. And at the end, you talked about the fear of overcoming the fear. My suggestion, because this is about storytelling, is that about storytelling, we would like to hear, what you're going to tell us, what you've told us, and then you group everything together with a summary. So I would suggest, just coming from me, a minor point is tell us at the beginning something like, I'm going to tell you two stories, how about leaders who inspired me to eliminate the fear, which was your title, which fits into the theme, which combines the two threads of your story into a beautiful tapestry that we all can benefit from. You hooked us from the very beginning and throughout with two stories with the golden threads that gave us a very clear message about eliminating fear. So in summary, tell us at the beginning, throughout, and at the end about eliminating fear. And, no matter what, was a beautiful piece of storytelling. Really well done, Lydia, and thank you.
Thank you so very much, Tony. And for those words of Toastmasters wisdom regarding evaluation of speech. Tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them. And tell them what you just told them. Great advice for anybody. So let me speed things up and go ahead and get started on the second evaluation for Jessica's icebreaker. Over to you.
Okay, thank you. Now, Jessica's pathway is persuasive influence. And, fellow Toastmasters, you think about those two words, persuasive and influence, two very important words that are key to leadership. And Jessica, this evaluation is for you, of course. You open up with a hook. You asked us a question, which is a good device for hooking your audience. And you asked us about fulfilling a goal of the ages. Have we ever wanted to fulfill a goal we've been pursuing for a long time? That's a very good hook. And in with today's communication style, a leading author for TED Talk says it takes about 11 seconds. You only have 11 seconds to hook your audience. You had me hooked in 4 seconds. So this is a sign of a very good speaker already in an icebreaker. But of course, this is an advanced club. So you hooked us with that compelling grab. And then you talked to us about something we're all familiar with, the fear of public speaking. And this is a common thread here from my two evaluations, is the subject matter is on fear, which is such an important thing for us to address and to conquer. And you helped us take us through not just your experience, but you were echoing our own experiences when you were talking about not only fulfilling your dream, your goal of the ages, but now encountering an obstacle such as the fear of failing, the fear of failing at public speaking. What I really liked was a phrase you gave at the very end. You said, fear will fuel us into prosperity. And that's worth repeating. Fear will fuel us into prosperity. which actually tells us how to address the title of your speech, which was the sign of careful thinking when you were preparing this presentation. The title of your speech was Feel the Fear and Own Your Power. And I emphasize those 4 words: feel the fear and own your power. And you wrapped it up with fear will fuel us into prosperity. My minor piece of advice will be similar, is tell us at the beginning what you're going to give us to achieve these 2 things. But you did throughout your presentation anyways. Your icebreaker was the sign of a very well-developed presentation, which is cognizant of a very good speaker. And thank you for helping us address everything we go through in our journeys of conquering the fear of public speaking to achieve goals of our lifetime. Well done. Thank you very much, Jessica. Back to you, General Evaluator.
And thank you very much, Tony, for those words of wisdom from one experienced Toastmaster to one of our newer members. I would love to see more of is, could we have more, how could more vocal variety or body language, or better yet, the influence of both vocal variety and body language enhance the quality and presentation of the speech? Because a nonverbal gesture, whether by face, by hand, or body, can actually save the amount of words that you need to do to present your speech. It would actually enhance the message much, much more. I saw a lot of that in this icebreaker, and I love to see some more. Now, the final evaluator is Vinod Panicker, who will give an evaluation for Elena's speech about breaking boundaries. Over to you, Vinod.
Thank you, G. Toastmaster Elena, listening to you, you reminded me of a spiritual guru in India who said, the you in you and the me in me became the me in you and the you in me, which basically means I completely related with each and everything that you said. All that pain, why should I post on social media? I also asked the same questions. So let me dive into what I liked about your speech. No, no, no. That was the opening of your speech, and it completely grabbed my attention. And whatever came after that, I could feel it was coming from your heart. The second point that I want to say is you are a very authentic speaker, and you like to speak on something that you completely believe. The third most amazing thing that I felt about your speech was your radiant smile and your happy voice. Very few speakers, I also don't have a very happy voice. Sometimes I feel sad, but you have a very happy and radiant voice. The points that you were saying were coming out very nicely, and it was like people want, I at least wanted to take it completely. So kudos on that. The biggest room in the world is a room for improvement. So let me share where we can develop as a speaker from my side. First is Zoom. You told me if there is a plain background, that would be much better. Second, if it permits, as you already said, you would be giving the speech sitting, but I would request you to please stand and give the speech. That would be better, because I feel that your authenticity will come out of the screen and reach much more deeper if you can do that. Second point I would like to say is the structure of the speech. In the structure of the speech, you mentioned about your business, your partner, 3 points, and then pathways, 3 points. So in total, in a 6 to 7 minute speech, you spoke about 6 points, right? So if you had structured around just 3 points and given us how you can do this, that would have been better. As Tony mentioned, one more method to arrange your speech is what, so what, now what? What are you speaking about? So what? Why is it important? And now what? The action. The third important point I would like to say is your closing. You closed with the dance moves. It was fine, but I felt that your speech would have been more effective if you would have closed with a call to action like, ladies and gentlemen, put your LinkedIn profile on the chat. Let's get connected. Or just take a phone, click a picture, put it on the leadership speak. Let's get connected. So there, you actually, whatever you were saying was coming into action. So I would have loved to see some action on the chat where we could have really got connected, at least all these people, and had a social media presence in this moment. So to summarize, an amazing speaker who knows how to grab attention, who speaks authentically. If you just structure around few points, I believe the next time you deliver the speech, audience will dance to your tunes. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you so very much, Vinod. I especially love the comment about let's take a selfie and put it on Instagram as a challenge. Like that would have been an awesome call to action. But you just never know when to say it until after, until hindsight and after the fact. But those are some great ideas that you just included into your evaluation. So now, timer, if you can put the times of our evaluation onto our chat, please. I will turn this over to our grammarian Claudette Thomas for her report. And I see the evaluation reports already there. Thank you very much, Mr. Time.
Thank you very much, Ray. The word of the day, motivate. And there were other forms I encourage you to use. They were all used beautifully. I counted a total of about 14 times. The word and its derivatives were used. Leya, 1. Angeli, 4 times. You're the queen of motivation today. Thank you. Sandra, twice. Tony, once. Lena, 3 times. Ray, once. Youselee, once. And of course, yours truly, once. So thank you all for using the word. I counted about 16% of us used it. Next time, I encourage about 50% or more to motivate us. Those are some outstanding words I picked up today. Diabolical by Jessica. Plethora by Elena. And Angeli, animus. And I believe that means one's inner spirit, the soul. Thank you for that. And cognizant by Tony. Many gems and quotes. I'll just run through a few because there were so many. I have to mention a few. Baron's quoted John Maxwell, who said the true meaning of leadership is not how many followers you have, but how many leaders you create. And the 5 levels of leadership: position, commission, productivity, people's development, and people follow what you represent. And I love the castle principle. And I know that was mentioned, but I'll mention it again. The 5: courage, authenticity, service, truthfulness, love, and effectiveness. Oh, and some sayings. Sandra said, celebrate the wonderfulness in all of us, of you. Lydiah, eliminated the fear. Jessica, feel the fear and do it anyway. In the dance of fear lies within the rhythm of greatness. And Leya told us to inspire others to lead by example. Baron presented some excellent gems also. Leaders make situations better. Judge your leadership by your legacy and pass on the baton. Thank you for that. Elena told us about our online presence. You build content, you generate network, and you keep the flow and balance. It was a fantastic session listening to all the motivation I got here today. So thank you all. And back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Claudette. That was quite a comprehensive grammarian report, and I love it. Now, can we go ahead and put the poll in place to vote for the best evaluator for today's meeting, please? And while we're waiting for the poll, I'm going to turn this over to Brahm, who is going to give a critique on how well we did on critical thinking and evaluation. Brahm.
Thank you, Mr. General My job here is to see the quality of our evaluations, quality of our speaking from the perspective of the workshop we did a couple of weeks ago in terms of how we speak at Leadership Speak. As you can see, the name is Leadership Speak, not Leadership Speaks. And we heard that throughout the meeting today when speakers spoke, when we heard the evaluations. I should commend actually Tony Bratschitsch for doing back-to-back two well done evaluations. I cannot do that. I was only able to hear two speeches because I need to think and internalize a lot of things. So the two speeches I heard that I made notes of was Baron's speech and Jessica's speech. So I'm not like Tony. Now, with regards to Baron's speech, we heard some great, amazing things in there. And let me tell you why Baron did very well. First of all, Baron is one individual who is really hungry. He likes to stay hungry. He sends me text messages, Bram, I need some opportunities. I want to grow. I need to expand. And is constantly striving to reach the next level of leadership. And he recognizes that at Leadership Speak, those opportunities are available. So when this opportunity came along to speak about Inspired to Lead, and this was just about a week ago, now an education speech of this nature, for me, would have taken a month to put together. Baron put it together in a week. And of course, so it's understandable that our evaluator Asif did catch a few things that were a bit too elongated. He wanted 3 points, which our evaluator quite correctly stated. So there was a lot of material here, Baron, too much material. What the material that you had could be expanded into a 2-day workshop for leaders. And you should do that. You should be teaching leadership skills and inspiration. So I would like to one day attend one of your 2-day workshops, and I'm sure Lagdoli would like to attend that because she is a fan of Lance Secretan as well. Now, let me tell you this. Baron and Toastmaster of the day, Leya, showed great collaboration because in our club, we expect that the Toastmaster of the day and the education speaker would collaborate on the theme. The Toastmaster of the day introduces the theme, but she has very little time to speak to the theme. There's hardly about a couple of minutes. And so the Toastmaster of the day hands the theme to the education speaker who speaks for 20 minutes on the theme, and which he did very well, except that it was too much material. So you could shorten down the material and spend a bit more time on the conclusion as to what is the audience's take, what are the key things that the audience needs to learn to be able to inspire people around them so that they can become inspirational leaders. However, the material was great, and how you began your speech and your presentation, Baron, I'm just trying to look at my notes very quickly here because the time is running. I only have 5 minutes. You begin with, there's an elephant in the room, and that's leadership. Lovely way of beginning a speech. How you begin the speech and how you end the speech and what's in between is very, very important. So how you begin the speech is great. I loved that there's an elephant in the room, that is leadership. However, since this is Inspired to Lead, then I would think that giving a distinction between what leadership means and what leader means, the two things, what does it mean? And a lot of people who study leadership and our leaders don't understand the difference between what leadership means and what a leader means. So that definition would have been great. Now, I won't be giving you the definition here today, but at some future point in time, we can discuss all that, and you can always Google it and find out as well. As I said, too much material. However, great segue into Lance's, of course, material, because he's been at our podcast and spoken to our club at the podcast quite a bit. But when you end it, you could have spent a bit more time rather than too much time on all these different things that you were talking about, John Maxwell and all the other different points and so on. Spend more time on inspiration and what it really means and so on. Let me go to Jessica Mathabatha and the icebreaker. Again, Jessica has been to some of the trainings on Tuesdays. We do training on Tuesdays to train people to become better leaders and speakers. And she's been there And that's the reason why she did this particular speech. And I think that's what she probably followed those instructions, because at this is very important. At an advanced club, you don't need to do an icebreaker where you begin with, I was born here and this is my parents and I had so many siblings and all that. She didn't do that, which is great, because you can do that in a community club and begin to understand how to speak. Here, what she did was she focused on, and Tony caught it quite right, about the fear of speaking and how to sort of make sure that despite the fear, that you're inspired to speak. So her speech was all about inspiration. Now, there's 4 or 5 different criteria of what the speech is about. Is it to inform, influence, inspire, persuade, negotiate, right? All those things. And I think this speech, not I think, but I know this speech was about inspiration, and was quite consistent with our theme and so on. What I would have liked at the end, however, Jessica, is a bit more time on the audience's takeaway. This is where we tend to miss a bit. Even though it's an icebreaker speech, it's at an advanced level. So what is the audience's takeaway? Should have spent a bit more time. You did end well. In the dance of fear lies the rhythm of our greatness. That was so well done. That was just an amazing quote. Thank you, Jessica. A bit more time on the audience's takeaway would have gotten you 10 stars from me. Back to you, Mr. G.
Thank you so very much, Brahm, for all those comments. They're just very, very helpful indeed. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to our host. Well, before I do that, I'm sorry, I overlooked this. Just a brief overview of how the meeting went. We started on time. Very good job from the Sergeant at Arms, and also from our Toastmaster of the day for introducing us to the theme to get us going with the 5 levels of leadership. And I would just like to say that I think this was a very well done meeting. We are a little over. I know that that seems to be our tradition in this club, but we always still try to challenge ourselves to try to complete the meeting on time. Sad to say we're not going to be able to do that, so our pattern still is holding. I hope that when I finally post this video, that we all have a chance to re-watch it on our Leadership Speak YouTube channel to understand and get the points on each of our speeches. And I also like to shout out to Angeli for her video on making sure that we don't have reflections on our lenses with the lights on, because how many times that we keep forgetting about making sure that we don't have reflections on our lenses and try to focus the message on what we try to present, as opposed to having a technical glitch or two. Great piece of advice. So I'm going to go ahead and just turn it back over to our Toastmaster of the day, Leya Musunga. Leya, over to you.
Thank you so much, Ray, for chairing that session. And yes, thank you so much for encouraging our speakers. Even if you are a guest, we do have a YouTube page. You can go there, watch. We've got so many other meetings that are available there that you can watch, learn, get inspired, and grow. And I'm also interested, I can see there's a reflection of my ring light in my lens, so I'll definitely be watching out for that so I can also avoid that reflection. We'll now move on to our thought of the day. So Karina, if you could please come to the stage and give us the thought of the day.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the day. Dear member, fellow Toastmaster, and welcome guests. Inspired to lead, an incredible theme today. Inspiring leaders enable us to grow and move forward to be the best version of ourselves. Their motivation can help us to overcome difficulties and finally eliminate our fears. If your actions inspire others to dream more, to learn more, to do more, and become more, you are a leader. A great person attracts great people and knows how to hold them together. The best illustration is Leadership Speak Club, our club, where we are being surrounded by inspiring leaders. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you so much for that. And I can see the link for the YouTube page has been posted in the chat. If you are seeing this just as a video, it's Leadership Speak. You'll find us there on YouTube, like they always say, like, comment, share. So I'm plugging the club like that. So, and this is where my role as the Toastmaster of the Day ends. And I'll just end by just saying, remember, leadership is not about being perfect, but about striving to bring out the best in yourself and others. Inspire, motivate, and lead with compassion, empathy, and authenticity. And at this point, I would like to hand over to our club president, who will just have some few moments to greet our guests, ask for comments. So over to you, Bram. You are muted, Bram.
Well, I'm glad that you interrupted me and told me this. Thank you so much for, Leya, thank you so much for collaborating with the education speaker. The both of you did a great job in the theme of the day. It's my favorite subject. What can I say? So I'm biased perhaps. But we have a few guests that we need to talk to over here. So let's of course go first to Lark Dorley. Does it distinguish Toastmaster Lark Dorley, our international president? Over to you, Lark, and your comments on our meeting. And would you like to be a member now?
Since I have a club meeting on Saturday, I cannot, but I thank you for that invitation. I wrote in the chat, you set the gold standard for clubs around the world. And since we are in the Olympic season, I truly would award your club the gold medal. So thank you so much for allowing me to be with you today. You have inspired me, as always.
Thank you, Lark, and thank you for popping in to our club. It's not every day that we get an international president popping in just like that, so pleasure. We have a few other guests here. Let's have a look. We also have a couple of new members. Alfin, for example, is a brand new member, just recently joined, and Alfin was our timer. So you can welcome Alfin here. Hello, Alfin. And Alfin's, by the way, in Indonesia, and it's 11 hours away from where I am. So it's 10:30 at night for Alfin, and he's still here. So thank you, Alfin, for being here. Thank you, Alfin. And I didn't know, maybe you may have told me, Alfin, but I just found out from Elias that you were a past division director from Indonesia, right, Alfin? Is that true?
Yes.
So there you go, thank you so much. Alfin is not just a lay member, but he's reached quite a high in his district, and he's become a member here. So thank you so much, Alfin. Now, going on to our guests here, we have Jared Oko from Kenya. If Jared, are you still there? Let me just call out a few names, and then if you're there, just give me a shout. Terence Were. I spoke to Terence just a couple of days ago and invited him, so he's here. Terence, are you there? Jared, we are both from Kenya. Hey, Jared,
Yes,
how are
I'm
you
here.
doing, my friend? So good to see you again.
I'm very well. Great to see you. It's always a real pleasure every time I swing by. There's always some good takeaways, and I really got inspired today. And it was a great pleasure to actually bat in and enjoy the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. And Jared has become a very good friend. I bumped into him in Turkey, online meeting, of course, a couple of years ago, and we've become very good friends since then. Thank you, Jared, for being here today. And Terence, I don't hear from him.
Yes, thank you, Bram. It's a pleasure being here. It's quite an honor, actually. I was first invited by Baron, and thank you. I'm one of those guys whose camera is having issues right at the moment. I'm waiting for that video so that I can turn on my video later on, but thank you for that request. So it has been a great meeting. I am happy, and I liked how the evaluations were on point. For instance, it wasn't just about the normal or the simple things we normally look out for. It went deeper. For instance, even the TMOD left with feedback. That is amazing. And I look forward to subsequent meetings. As Bram mentioned, I'm interested in supporting the PR docket of this club, and given the opportunity, I will do my best and exude the same excellence that I'm seeing here. Thank you, and back to you.
There you go. So there's another new member joining our club very soon, and he'll join the PR committee right away as soon as he joins the club. What can I say? All right, great. Thank you so much, Terrence, for that information. Let's see now, who else do we have here on my screen here? I see Marvin Luyima. Marvin, are you there? And then we have Daudi Mugabe. Just give me a shout if you are just near your computer so we can speak to you. Marvin, perfect. Hi, Marvin, how are you?
Sorry, I'm muted. I'm all
Good to
right.
see
How are
you.
you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. So you're from Lubowa, which means you're from Baron's Club from Uganda.
Yes, I am. I had come to watch Baron's speech. He posted, he put the flyer in the group, so I came
Great,
to
awesome.
watch him do his thing. Yes.
Good. And are you thinking of a membership here? Have you done level 3 of one pathway?
Yes, I've done level 3 of my path. I think it's strategic relationships, not I think, I know it is.
Right.
In terms of considering a membership here, let's see where that ship goes.
Sure, of course, definitely. Put your name in the guest book anyways, and let's keep connected in the meantime. And then while you're considering whether you should join or not, or when that time is appropriate. Thank you for being here, and thank you for supporting Baron and our club at the same time. All right, let's move on to another guest, if I can see. We don't have Dawoodi Mugabe. Rukunul Islam. Hi, Rukunul. If I'm pronouncing that right, hope.
Hi, I'm Rukun from Bangladesh. How are you?
I'm doing good, and you?
I'm also good.
Where are you from, Rukunul?
I'm from Bangladesh.
And how did you find our meeting? And did you like what you saw? Are you considering membership here?
I am observing. Later on, I will decide.
Sure, of course.
Thank you.
Good. And yeah, please put your name in the guest book so we can remain in touch. And if we can help you in any way, you don't have to become a member. You can visit us as many times as you like to learn whatever we do here. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Dawoodi, thank you. Hey, Dawoodi, how are you? Dawoodi
I'm very fine.
Mugabe. Where are you from, Dawoodi?
Yes. I am from Kampala, Uganda, Bukoto Toastmasters. I found out about this meeting, of course, by Baron and the Division F WhatsApp group. And, he's told me about this Toastmasters club that's unique, that's a club for leaders, and I want to develop my leadership skills. So when I saw that flyer, I decided to attend today's meeting, and I was blown away. My socks were blown off completely. I'm very overwhelmed by what I've seen today.
Yes.
And I love the attention to detail, particularly in the evaluations. Like the previous guest said, the scrutiny of how well we do in this meeting definitely helps us become better leaders. And I am definitely going to become a member, although that will be the April window next year. So between now and then, I'll just be a guest, but I'm definitely signing up next year.
Awesome.
Because of
So
the commitments I have right now.
next year means what, in 2025? Not a problem. Or is it October the 1st? Whichever it is, just put your name in the guest book. And then, of course, you are with Baron in Baron's Club, so we'll keep in touch regardless. So, Dawoodi, thank you for being here. And you can visit us as many times as you like. All right, good. Rest of our guests, they are just regular guests. We speak to them often, and we are running out of time, so I will miss out those. Let me just have a quick scan. If I've missed somebody who's here for the first time, and I don't think so. In that case, I will pass this back to our Toastmaster of the day to adjourn, Leya Musunga.
Thank you so much, Bram, for that. And remember, everyone, your actions as a leader have the power to make a positive impact and create a lasting legacy. So this meeting is officially adjourned. See you next week. You may stop the recording.